Count 1, aggravated murder. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of aggravated murder. We, the jury, unanimously agree that the prosecution has proved the following circumstance or circumstances regarding count 1 beyond a reasonable doubt. The homicide was committed for pecuniary gain, and the homicide was committed by means of the administration of any substance administered in a lethal amount, dosage, or quantity. Count 2, attempted aggravated murder. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of attempted aggravated murder. We, the jury, unanimously agree the prosecution has proved the following circumstance or circumstances regarding count 2 beyond a reasonable doubt. The attempted homicide was committed for pecuniary gain. Count 3, insurance fraud. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of insurance fraud. Count 4, insurance fraud. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of insurance fraud. Count 5, forgery. We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Kouri Richins, is guilty of forgery. It's signed by the foreperson. Please have a seat. Madam Foreperson, is this the verdict that the jury reached unanimously?
Yes, it is.
Okay, you may have a seat. Ms. Lewis, Ms. Nestor, do you wish the jury to be polled?
Yes, please.
All right. Folks, I'll ask you the same yes or no question, one at a time, starting on my left, working this way. Front row first. If you could show me your lanyard number as I ask you. Juror number 5, is this the verdict you voted in favor of? Yes. Juror number 4, is this the verdict you voted in favor of? Juror number 3.
Quite the verdict just now read in the case against Kouri Richins, now found guilty of murder and guilty on all counts. Camila Bernal joins us. You've been watching the trial. You've been watching this live coverage right here. Camila, so count 1, guilty of murder. There was aggravated murder. There's also insurance fraud, right? Walk us through all the charges here.
Yeah, 2 counts of insurance fraud because they believe that she essentially took out a life insurance policy and tried to change the name on the policy so that she would be the beneficiary of that insurance policy and so that she would get this money. And the prosecution has long argued that she had been in debt. She was flipping homes. She was in real estate. And instead of making money, she was losing money. She was overdrafting in her bank account. So she was trying to figure out a way of getting that insurance money before Eric Richins was killed. And clearly the jury sided with the prosecution here. The fraud or the forgery, excuse me, also includes the fact that she tried to sign for these insurance policies, life insurance policies, and to get the money. It's interesting to see her reaction. You saw once the first guilty was read, she put her head down and was breathing in deeply. And then in your screen, you also saw Eric Richins' father at some point and his family members. You saw his sister, who has been at the forefront of this case because she was actually the one in charge of the trust, because Eric Richins actually put all of his money, his property into a trust. So when he died, Kouri Richins was not able to access any of that money. She was not able to sell the house. And the prosecution argued she had no idea that all of this money was actually in a trust. So it was the sister who essentially spearheaded all of this because Kouri filed a civil lawsuit against the sister, against the trust, to try to get some of that money after Eric Richins died. That did not work for her in the civil case, and it's not working for her in the criminal case. As you mentioned, 5 guilty charges to everything the prosecutors argued throughout this entire trial. It was supposed to be about 5 weeks long. Instead, it took about 3. And that's because Kouri's defense team did not put up a single witness. She obviously did not testify on her behalf. They felt like the prosecution did not have enough to convict because they had never found the fentanyl pills. They had never found it in the house. They were unable to figure out exactly how the fentanyl got into Eric Richins' body. But the prosecution today said, look, she likely put it into a cocktail. It was either a Moscow Mule or a lemon drop, and that's how the fentanyl got in his body. So the jury sided with the prosecution and believed that theory, despite the fact that there's no proof, physical proof, of the fentanyl being in that Moscow Mule because they were never able to test the Moscow Mule cups. They were never able to find that at the house on the day that Eric Richins died. Gotti.
And Camila, real fast, so many people are familiar with this case because of the headlines about her writing this kid's book about grief in the time prior to her arrest, right? Can you tell us what came out in trial, if anything at all, about that kid's book and how that squared in the timeline of things?
Yeah, so actually, during the trial, what we heard was that she actually didn't write the book. She hired a ghostwriter to write this book for her, and what the prosecution said she was doing here was trying to keep the appearance that she was successful, that she was a writer. And then they also said she wanted money out of this book because she was going to get a certain amount of money per book that was sold on Amazon. So her goal was to sell so many books and essentially make a lot of money out of this book. So the prosecution pointed to the fact that this book, this children's book about grief, actually pointed to her character and the way that she tried to cover things up, because she also published it at around the time when prosecutors were honing in on her and interviewing her and essentially going after her. And when she realized that all of this was happening, she publishes this book. She goes on TV to talk about this book. And in the end, it ended up hurting her because the prosecution used all of this against her.
Wow. Camila Bernal, thank you so much for watching all of this as it unfolds with us. We also have NBC's legal analyst, Misty Marris, who joins us right now. Misty, give us your thoughts on the verdict. I mean, pretty remarkable. 3 hours. The trial was relatively short, and they never even found the fentanyl, right?
Right. Really quick turnaround time on that verdict. I was surprised to see that it came in tonight. But listen, Gotti, the case that the prosecutors put on was focused on motive. And that's why, in my view, this was going to be all or nothing, like we saw. If she was convicted of the aggravated murder, aggravated attempted murder, she was going to be convicted of those financial crimes as well, the insurance fraud and forgery. And that's because it all fit into the prosecution's narrative that she was in financial disarray, $4.5 million of debt. She was having an affair. She wanted a fresh start. And her plan was to kill her husband. It was a premeditated murder. That's the prosecution's case. Another unique thing about this case, because they didn't put on a defense, no witnesses. She didn't take the stand. But the jury heard from her. There is video of body cam footage when the police responds the night of Eric Richins' death. We heard from her in the 911 call, giving the jury a unique view to assess credibility without the defendant actually taking the stand. So this case really came down to establishing that motive, which prosecutors clearly did since the jury found the way that they did. And also that element of credibility. Was this woman acting like a widow, or was she acting like somebody who had done something nefarious? And that was the case.
Do you think that video played a big factor in what the jury decided? How would you characterize that video? What did they see?
I do. So I think the video was really important. And one of the reasons that, I know that prosecutors thought the same is that they focused on it during closing arguments. They actually played the video where Kouri Richins is in her home. Police are responding. She's telling the police what happened. And then next to it, they put the reaction of Eric Richins' sister, who had a just heartbreaking emotional reaction to hearing that Eric had passed, that Eric had died that night. And the dichotomy between the two, Gotti, gave the jury this view of, well, what would common sense tell you? How would somebody act in this really horrific situation, this life-altering situation, and it kind of gave that window by virtue of that comparison. And I think that really went a long way with the jury.
Yeah, especially side by side. Now, guilty of murder, guilty of, I believe, aggravated murder, and all the insurance fraud charges, right? What is she looking at here? What's she looking at in terms of jail time?
So this actually would have been a death-eligible sentence, could have been. The prosecutors decided not to put the death penalty on the table. So this is life without parole. That's what she's looking at here. And keep in mind, there were the insurance fraud claims and the forgery charges that were brought as part of this case. There are other financial crimes that are waiting in the wings. So there's a whole other set of charges that have not gone to the courtroom yet, have not gone to the jury yet, while this particular case played out.
And those financial crimes, I mean, we heard the guilty to insurance fraud, but what else is there?
So it's the same where there was allegations that Kouri Richins was taking out life insurance policies, manipulating financial documents in order to get money after Eric Richins had passed, because many things had been shielded from her during his lifetime. He made a lot of changes to the way that his estate would play out if he, in the way that it was held in trust, and others were going to be responsible, his sister being that individual. So all of that had changed. Kouri Richins, according to prosecutors, did not know. So after the fact, tried to make some of these changes in that financial charges that stem from that. And all of that's interrelated, Gotti, because it all speaks to motive. Now, keep in mind, prosecutors actually don't have to prove motive. They have to prove intent, but not motive. But juries like to know why. And in this case, especially since they did not have clear evidence of how the fentanyl got into Eric Richins' system, how it got into his body, they did not have clear evidence. They really focused on that motive in order to establish the element of intent.
Misty, Marris, thank you so much as we monitor this story. Richins found guilty on all charges related to her husband's death. It looks like Kouri Richins will be facing sentencing pretty soon. Thank you so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.